Good morning. This is the Blaine's World podcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You get more information about past shows, future shows, and this show as well at the website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and third country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Sue Moyle Studlar and John Stephen Thomas with the Asheville Science Book Club for being my guests today. And folks, you can feel free to wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this on YouTube. So give them a big wave. Okay? Big wave. Okay, there we go. Okay, I should mention that Sue Moyle Studlar, a PhD, is a botanist who enjoys sharing her enthusiasm for plants, nature, and science. A retired botany professor, she has taught at West Virginia University for 23 years, entered a college, Mountain Lake Biological Station, and Wellesley College, and most recently at Highlands Biological Station and UNCA. She leads moss lichen walks at the Asheville Botanical Garden, and she coordinates the Asheville Science Club with Stephen. Stephen has worked in information technology for over 30 years and was a part-time adjunct college instructor in philosophy and information technology for 27 years. He always has enjoyed studying both philosophy and computer information systems at the undergraduate and graduate levels. He's happily retired and enjoys coordinating the Asheville Science Book Club at Ollie. And so the question to ask both of you, if I can go back and forth a little bit, is in terms of, Sue, your background, so it had been a science background. Was that always your goal when you were a kid growing up? Where'd you grow up as a
Oh
kid?
yeah,
Where,
I
where,
I grew I grew up in Minnesota on Lake Minnetonka, which is a beautiful lake, and there was a lot of private woods that a kid was free to explore. And my parents were both biologists and really enthusiastic naturalists, and they let the four kids just wander around in the woods. I spent a lot of time in the woods and got really excited about nature from an early age.
That's kind of cool that you even knew as a kid you wanted to do something with nature or in botany
Oh,
and so forth.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I've started doing projects for science clubs in the science fair in seventh grade and did it all the way through high school. And every one of those projects was influential. I really, got excited about what I was doing.
Well, two questions. Number one, do you remember the very first project?
Oh, my first science fair project was
Yeah,
on plant families.
you remember it. Okay, very cool. And wait, do we have it in the background there? Did you have it, save it somewhere?
Oh, well, basically, my dad was head of non-game research for the Minnesota Conservation Department, as it was then called, but he was a PhD in botany, and his first love was botany. And I remember at the dinner table asking him once, because mainly I'd been working with collecting animals from the lake and watching them in terraria and aquaria, and I asked my dad if there was any way to collect plants. And I could just see he was really excited that I was interested. He said, "I'll show you after supper." And he made me a plant press, and I took off from there.
Very exciting. Back in seventh grade, the spin-off question is, did you win that first contest?
Oh, I got blue ribbons throughout the science fairs, actually.
Okay, very good. And so when did you decide then from that, and you went for school the whole bit, that you wanted to teach also?
Well, I went to Carleton College after Minnetonka High School is a great high school, and so very encouraging teachers there. And at Carleton College, uh, there was a very inspiring botanist, William H. Muir, who's related to John Muir distantly, and his big obsession was non-flowering plants. And so I got really interested in non-flowering plants then. And then I went to the Wilderness Field Station that multiple colleges belong to, and they took field botany, and the botanist was a moss specialist, a bryologist. And the northern mosses are big and beautiful, so I got really interested in mosses from that point on.
And so when did you decide you wanted to teach?
Well, I think that was basically my orientation, just kind of naturally. I, I mean, this may sound kind of unbelievable, but I had my friends going out in the early morning to do area studies when I was a teenager and turned in reports to me. So,
Yeah.
that's not your usual
No, I
kid
was going to
behavior.
say, and what's interesting listening to you, it's just kind of the opposite. So, John, your background is not necessarily in botany or science per se. It's, well, computer science, one could say, but your background is in information technology. That's what you were in?
Well, it kind of goes back a little bit further than that. So I would say the most inf one, not the most maybe, but one of the most influential teachers I had was my seventh grade science teacher, and that was in the school year like 1965, and he had us read Silent Spring by Rachel
Sure.
Carson, which was like a real eye opener. So he's the one who really kind of got me thinking about like all the amazing things that about the world, the natural world. And I always did pretty good in science throughout high school. And then when I went to college, I wasn't really sure initially, but I went to a college in northwestern Pennsylvania, and my uncle was the head of the biology department. So I decided to major in biology. And so I actually did that for 2 years, but and I had to take chemistry and calculus and whatever. And I realized that I was much better at the book learning than the labs. And I said, if I'm going to be a scientist, I better be pretty good at apps, not just good, but like very good. And I wasn't very good. Meanwhile, I had taken some philosophy classes, a couple, and that kind of captivated me. So I switched to that. And then one of my um, favorite or influential teachers in both undergraduate and graduate, their specialties were like philosophy of science or history and philosophy of science. So I got very interested, even though I'm studying philosophy, things like theory of knowledge, philosophy of science, that was kind of my focus. And, but then at some point, I didn't know if I wanted to continue to get a PhD. I was having a lot of self-doubts, and I ended up starting to take computer classes. And I knew nothing about computers at the time, but I ended up that being like my main career that paid the rent and everything. And then, but then I realized because when I went to college, there weren't many night classes. There weren't any
Right.
older students. I always tell people when I went to college, the old students were like the 24-year-old Vietnam veterans,
Right.
because not only were they a few years older, but they had been in a war, so, but then I realized like a lot of people go to school at night. And so I started teaching philosophy classes at night. So, um, but not necessarily philosophy of science per se, but so I was always kind of interested in kind of philosophical things. Even I looked at my yearbook, my high school yearbook, and somebody mentioned something about you're very philosophical or something. So even when I was a immature 17-year-old or whatever, they thought I was that too. But also I like teaching because I mean, there's something in it, but I think there's something in my family. It runs in my family. We have a lot of teachers in my family. You know, my mother had to wait until she was in her 40s, but she got an elementary education and taught. My dad was in the Air Force, an industrial electrician, but he would also somehow fit in teaching math and science and so forth. So we had a lot of teaching in our genes or something. I don't know what it is, but we're not scared to get up in front of people.
Funny you saying that, but teaching. So most of my adult life, I had been a college teacher also. And I was kind of the exception because I loved teaching at night because it was the returning students. They're more interested in stuff than sometimes the 17, 18-year-old, students. So
Yeah.
I love teaching at night. I can relate to that. But what's funny with backgrounds of both of you, it sort of then segues into where you are now. So you both had careers and you were doing this for a bunch of years. And all of a sudden then you then become involved with this Asheville Science Book Club. And I have no idea what the Asheville Science Book Club is. So Sue, I want to have you start off. If you tell me what is the Asheville Science Book Club?
Well, basically, our concept dates back to Rachel Muir. She called it the Greater Asheville Science for All Book Club,
Okay.
which was too long a name, but it captured the idea that science education is extremely important and you need to reach out to the public, especially considering all the very serious ecological issues we're facing now. So basically, she tried to find books that were important in terms of current issues and to find books that were readable that people would be excited to talk about, and that's still what we're doing. We've had some wonderful books, most of which are written by science writers. It's your top research contributors are not necessarily the best writers for the public. Some of our books are written by top researchers, but the majority are by outstanding science writers like Ed Young or Carl Zimmer that write elegantly, and we try to keep the focus on the concepts by having discussion sessions, discussion questions that we pass out in advance, and our hope is that different people within the club will nominate books, and we've actually had good fortune in that. The emphasis is on participation, people suggesting books, people getting involved in the discussion. So it's not a club where somebody comes and lectures for an hour and a half. Most of the session will be discussion. And if we have a guest speaker, and we've been lucky to have a couple, that will be limited to the first half hour of our hour and a half meeting.
And the exciting thing, I guess, for the standpoint of both of you, is that I guess it also kind of makes you keep up to date on what's happening,
Oh,
because you have these
absolutely.
books.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I'll ask Stephen if I can, in terms of then you're a member of the book club, do you have to read a book a month, a book a year?
Every
What?
6 books a year.
Six? Okay, so
Oh,
that's
we only do it like well, that's how Rachel did it every other month. Um, but she would have us read 2 books on the same subject. Okay, I mean 2 different books, but in the same category, let's say. But we decided after she's gone that we wanted to simplify things. We didn't want to have any technology like Zoom. We just wanted like a normal book club, and we didn't want something that was like too overwhelming. And so we picked one book, and people got 2 months to read it because people are busy. And then also, like, I know people, a lot of people that are in this book club are in other book clubs. So you have to kind of keep up with reading in 2 or 3 book clubs sometimes. I'm
so
in 2 book clubs, for
so
example.
it's one book in your book club, it's one book every 2 months, is that correct?
Yes.
And do people
So
have to?
January, March, then we can't do it at the end of May because of Memorial Day. So we do the very beginning of June, then the end of July, the end of September, and the end of November.
Now, do people they make commitment to it? Do they all read the 2 books, or do the book, or do some
No,
people fake
one
it?
book.
Yeah, do some people fake it and come
Oh,
without
actually,
what?
we tell people that if you didn't read the book, that's all right. And actually, what we do is we have this is a process that has evolved. What we found work. We have a few general comments, general introduction, and then we break up into small groups, usually about 8 people. And sometimes only one person has read the book. Sometimes most of them have read the book. But anybody who comes there is excited about discussing the topic, and they're bound to have an opinion. And our discussion questions, which represent what we think are the main concepts in the book, give it a focus. So whether or not you've read the book, you may have life experience or other books that are related. So we actually get very good, interesting discussions. And after the small groups have all talked for most of the hour, then we have a general session. We used to have one member of each small group summarize what that group discussed and concluded, and then decided that put too much burden on one person. That was actually a suggestion from one of the members of the club, that we should have everybody who wants to talk about what they found most interesting in the book. So it became a sharing session rather than a formal conclusion where every point had to be covered, kind of thing. And that has worked out very well. People really seem to enjoy it. There's a lot of laughter, and people are having fun. So that's good.
Who prepares the discussion questions?
It's the moderator who is, we hope, is and has been so far, the person who suggests the book.
Oh, okay. So it's an advantage to not suggest a book if you don't want to be the moderator. Heads up.
You don't have, you can suggest it, but then we might want you to try to find somebody. Like maybe there's a reason you suggested it. Like you have a friend that's an astrophysicist or whatever that might. But I also think like sometimes people might read part of the book. Like we had one discussion, and it was this very, very thick book called Ice, not immigration ice,
Right.
but like the actual, H2O substance ice. And I never in my life would believe you would have, oh, there it is, ice.
Yeah,
I
big
never
book.
believed that there would be that much to say about ice. But the thing is, the reason I'm picking that book out is because almost surely, like I know I didn't read every single chapter in the book, and I suspect that a lot didn't, because it's
Yeah.
just
Lots
a
of
lot.
chapters. Probably can't see that. But
It's
anyway,
just a lot. But then some books are much smaller. Like when we first started, we were kind of in a hurry to try to get it going. And so I picked out this little bit, well, the committee did. We had that little committee, right? And we picked out a short little book called Longitude that came
Oh,
out
that's not very
20 or
short.
30
I
years,
got that
came out
one.
like maybe 30 years ago, about the
Okay,
search to
not
solve
that
the problem
small.
of
Right.
longitude. Okay. So it's a much shorter book, and it's a more fun book to read, or it's almost like not a mystery, but a tale, like a tale, but it involves certain scientific aspects. So we did that one at first. So probably that one's an easy one for people to read. And then even if somebody comes and they don't really know, they just want to find out what it's like. And if they like the book club, then probably the next time they'll want to read the book.
Well, there's
Actually, one of the books that was most baffling for me because of lack of background in that area, but I really enjoy it, was by a cosmologist. So this is a case where, I knew nothing about the topic, and this was written by an actual cosmologist, a scientist who found great joy in researching the end of everything, the end of the universe.
And you have to admit, a great title for a book, isn't it? Just
Yeah,
the title
yeah.
itself. Well, let me ask you this, guys. Do any folks, because one of the things I'm really getting into now is I love listening to books. Do any people listen to the books as opposed to read them?
Absolutely. Some people will, some people will get the books and probably listen while they're jogging or something. Other people will read the electronic versions or Kindle or something like that. Some people just borrow them from the library. We have Rachel established a relationship with Malprops in Asheville, and they give a discount on the books that we discuss. of course, you can also, there's multiple online providers. But in terms of being understandable, the thing that was very amusing, this was very challenging for me, but of course we had a cosmologist who just thought it was a breeze, you know. And
Well,
and and then of course the light eaters. I remember this is Botanical, a wonderful book which attracted a very large group. With exciting cutting edge concepts like plants having intelligence and so on, depending on how you define intelligence. There was a lot of excitement about this, and I heard one member say that he read the first couple of pages of each chapter. So, it is not a class. So people are free to put as much effort as they want to in it. I take great pleasure in reading every book thoroughly, and really learning as much as I can. Other people take a more lighthearted approach and read. As Steve suggested, they might just read some of it. That's okay.
well, Steve would know this too, because I'm trying to figure out now, I'm trying to read a friend's book, and there's a way, Steve, to convert a PDF file into an audio, a way you can hear an audio version of that. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, because I'm trying to read up on it, and it's a little bit beyond my area of expertise, but it would be cool because I have to read a friend's book, and I want to read it when I walk my dog, so I want to convert it from the PDF file to the
Right.
audio file, which I thought would be kind of cool.
Well, just so IT, first of all, IT is huge and it's just keeps growing, over the decades,
Right.
the details. And basically, I was really like a dinosaur. I worked on IBM mainframes.
Right. Right.
And so, I mean, over time, I started using Windows workshops, I mean, workstations and, different things. But as far as a lot of the stuff I've been retired 10 years now. So, uh, so much stuff in the last 10 to 20 years is like, you know, I mean, I utilize the cell phone and I utilize things, but as far as understanding like all this stuff, like I just see some people they'll just, oh, let me see your phone, and they'll just do like wizardry.
Well,
And I don't know what they're doing, but
well, the same thing too, Steve, with AI, has made life kind of interesting in that I just this morning was looking up how do you do this, but even the explanation was a little bit beyond me. I didn't want to have to figure it out,
yeah,
but it shows me how I can do this. So I thought you were going to be the guy to teach me this, but wasn't the case.
no, I don't think so.
One of the things Sue said was kind of interesting, and I used to do a lot of it in terms of speed reading because it was exactly what you said that sometimes I'll read a book and read, was it the first couple pages of each chapter, and then you read the first sentence and get the gist of it without having to read the whole thing. So I guess that's what a lot of people tend to do.
Oh, I think everyone has their own strategies. Sometimes it works to read the beginning of the book and the
Right.
end of the book and work your way backward. I do it in different ways, but I love to look up related information online. I get annoyed that you have to be bombarded with AI. Google searches are just fine, thank you.
When you
But
do the Google search, if
Right.
you can put a minus sign AI.
Oh, I didn't know you
you
could do
can.
that. I
Yeah,
didn't know
so
that.
like if you put, like astrophysics and then put minus sign AI, and it won't bring up any AI stuff.
I
Very
didn't know
interesting.
that. Yeah.
Well, I only learned that somewhat recently from a
Well,
young person.
Well,
Ah,
I had the same
okay.
reaction to what Sue just said too. I just read a book about ABBA, the musical group ABBA. But the
Right.
annoying thing about it, Sue, was they kept talking about all ABBA's music. I had to stop all the time to listen to some of the music. It's just I just want to read the
Mhm.
book, but I was so motivated, got into it. So it took me twice as long as it usually does to read a book because I had to do this other research. I didn't have to, but I chose to do this. In terms of suggestions
So
for the
I
books,
just want to
what?
say the next book
Good title.
is what we're gonna, and that's 1 week from tonight, actually.
Yeah.
So
I got
uh,
to get busy.
No, but it's a great
yeah,
title. It
yeah,
sounds
yeah, yeah. And actually, there's another recent edition of it. and he changed the name, but it's the same book, but it's a paperback edition, and it says something about the secret chord.
Yeah,
And
that's
what
very
that makes me
confusing.
think of is a
Yeah.
lyric from Leonard Cohen's song Hallelujah.
Right.
I'm thinking that's where that
Ah,
title came from.
okay.
Well, just the title as you're holding it up,
Interesting.
Steve, is also interesting to me because I'm active in a dementia group, and it seems I don't know if that book talks about the tie into music and medicine,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this book, but I mean, I've read it through once, but I will always read any book for my two book clubs twice. The second time, I take notes and I look things up. And there's a lot to look up on this because it relates directly to the structures of the brain.
right.
And plants have a different kind of intelligence. It's been called a decentralized brain. They respond and react, so there's a certain kind of plant intelligence, but it's nothing like the human brain, about which I know very little. So I intend to learn quite a bit about the human brain. And although I play flute and piano, I've never had training in music theory. And there's quite a bit of that in here too. So, that shows you the kind of thing you can learn. You can get areas that you haven't explored in any depth before and learn as much as you want to. There's no pressure because this is not a class. You can learn what you want to, but it's an opportunity to really expand your horizons. And that's what has been quite exciting for me in the book club, to hear how cosmologists think the world might end and how much it overlaps with science fiction, and to get this kind of thing, which has direct practical implications for dealing with mental decline and mental diseases.
In terms of the
Also,
books,
I
yeah,
just want to say one thing about the author. He is both a musician and a neuroscientist. So
interesting
that
information.
obviously there's a lot of emphasis obviously on the brain because the brain obviously affects the whole body, and it signals things to the body that can either help it heal or not help it heal or whatever. So that's interesting. And I read one review and they said there's too much name dropping because he knows a lot of
Oh,
musicians.
yes.
He knows a lot of
Yes.
famous musicians. And so
Yeah.
they
I
say
looked up
there's
the
too much
first
name
one
dropping in that book.
and listened to it. And then there were so many more. I gave up on all these musicians I wasn't familiar with.
In terms of the recommendations for the books, so they come from the members of the group itself. Is that how it
Yes.
happens?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, uh, we we are open to all areas of science, biological, physical, whatever the interests
And
of the
even
members
and
are.
social sciences too.
Pardon?
Social sciences, even though
And oh, sorry,
we
yeah,
haven't
that's
done a lot of social sciences, but uh, whether it's psychology or sociology or something like that.
Because I'm looking at the book as we speak. I'll make a recommendation book about guy. Now I'll have to come to a meeting if you choose this book about the guy who wrote the dictionary. Um,
oh yes, I've read about that.
I just
Yes,
finished it. So based on what Stephen said, it'd be Professor and the Madman. Have you heard
yes,
about it?
I've heard of
And
that.
they have a
Yes,
movie on it, by the way, if you don't get to read the book, but it's more into social sciences, but it's fascinating. How do you write a dictionary? So I shouldn't tell you that because then you'll choose it for a book
yes,
and have to reread the book and come to the meeting or watch it on Amazon, the film, but very interesting book. So it's interesting. So it's not just pure science. There are different, depends how you look at science. It could be many different kinds of fields.
Yeah.
What's the most unusual book that anybody came up with to read or discuss?
Hmm.
um, well, I think
I,
the
I think
light eaters was mind blowing for people because of the which most people do not understand how interesting and dynamic plants are because they're on a slower time scale. David Attenborough has done his best with uh, the speeded up,
Right.
filming. Um, but this gets into the latest findings, which are really surprising. The degree to which plants can respond and communicate and interact with family members, etc. So, I mean, I would see that's why there was such great interest in it. I think it was really changing people's conceptions of plants and understanding how just the name light eaters, that's what a plant is. And this book is by a journalist and very young science writer. So I think that's been one theme for the book club, that every book we choose, I think, is written by an enthusiast, somebody who really wants to communicate to the public.
So one book that was under when Rachel was running it was called something like How Fish Think. And a lot of these books that we've read that I didn't know anything about, one of the things, the benefit for me, and I'm sure to other people, is it helps introduce you to things that you never really thought about, or your brain was clouded with stereotypes that you've developed. So part of the idea is that fish are dumb.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea is to show fish are not dumb, but because it's hard for us to know what it's like to be a fish,
Yes.
and so forth. But there's people that study this, there's people that study all kinds of things that you wouldn't
Yes.
think they would,
Uh,
but it's good that they do.
yes. And along the same line that Steve was talking about, this was one of the greatest books that we read for Rachel, An Immense World by Ed Yong, which shows the different perceptions of different animal species that are just amazing to contemplate, because we cannot enter their minds, but he does a great job in showing the world as it's perceived by a wide variety of species. This is a remarkable book. This is
Yeah,
pretty
that is
mind-blowing
that's
too.
it's kind of overwhelming. It's fun, but it's kind of overwhelming the material. But
One of the things I love talking about with the two of you, it's just your enthusiasm for the subjects, that you're talking about. And I think that's kind of cool that you can make almost any topic just listen to kind of exciting when you think about it.
Well, that's a
How
lot
fish
of
think.
it has to do with language. Like this was another book that was very
finding the mother
exciting that we read for Rachel, which has made a huge splash, at least as great probably as the light eaters, Finding the Mother Tree. And this again has to do with plant communications through the medium of fungi.
If folks want to become involved with this book club, how do they do so?
How did we become involved?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can tell you my story. My husband and I were going to a chamber music concert that was to be in a private home, and the directions were confusing, and we started walking up the sidewalk, which happened to be to Rachel's house, just as she was coming out to go to the same concert.
Rachel Muir. Okay. Well, you mean how you're asking like somebody who's watching right now, how
Right.
would they get involved?
Oh,
Okay.
how
Well,
can you get involved?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we
Oh,
don't really
sorry.
maintain a Facebook page or a web page or anything like that. Um, Maybe they could send Sue an email,
Email.
or if like, do you ever relay information? Like if they contacted you and you could give our email out
Well,
or not?
good question, Stephen. What I think I'd suggest, and I think we talked about this earlier, Sue, is maybe if you would care to you said an email address, if folks want more information, would that be the best way to find out about the
Yeah,
club?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I send out the mailings to the group and maintain the email list of 105 people right now. So basically, I'm the official contact. So
She writes
want me-
amazing emails.
Okay, that's it too.
thank
And
you.
and so the way to get on that list, Sue, is what?
Yeah, what if I just wrote it out right now and held it out? Would that be good?
That'd be good, and depending on,
Okay.
I may put in the description.
Okay, yeah, that's the most straightforward way because I keep the master list, and anybody who wants off it or changes their email address or wants to tell me about some book they're excited about, they email me, and then I communicate with the rest of our coordinating committee.
Well,
So
another way to think, another
does that
way,
show up
Yeah,
well for?
what I'll do too, Sue, thank you. What I'll do is in my description, if it's okay with you, I'll include that information as well. So say if you want
Okay,
more information, get on the mailing list, come to a meeting, contact Sue through that email list. That'd be great. Steve, you want to say something else?
okay, so if they know how to get to the Ollie building,
Right,
okay, we're on the second floor in one of the classrooms. Okay, so here's the thing. It's always, well, not always, 5 out of the 6 times,
right.
it is on the fourth Monday of the month, of the
of
particular
the
month,
odd month.
of the odd month. So it's 6:30, it's
Excepting when
6:30 to
it's
8.
not. Right,
It's
excepting when it's
6:30
not.
to 8. But I mean, you could just show up is what I'm getting at. Like,
Okay.
so
Yes,
the
absolutely.
January 26th is the last Monday in January. Then we don't meet in February. Then in March, the last Monday. Now the only glitch is of course the last Monday in May is Memorial Day. So then Ollie lets us do one like whether it's June 2nd or something like that, some very close. But then the last Monday in July, the last Monday in September, the last Monday in November. So usually it's like the Monday of Thanksgiving week, but it
And
doesn't
that,
seem to affect our attendance.
and the nice thing too, we should tell folks is that even though Ollie is a tremendous organization, great place to hang at, so you were telling me, right, you don't have to be a member of Ollie to be part of this club.
No.
That's right. It's completely independent. But I sign a very detailed contract actually with Ollie, making it clear that we're independent and that they're happy to provide technical support and so on. So they legally they want it to be very clear that this is the case, that we are an independent group that they're happy to host.
And
And
the last
also
question
we're
I'd like to
not.
ask folks, Steve, I'm sorry, something else?
Well, we are a discussion group based on the idea that you probably have read some or most of the book, and not sometimes people show up and they think they're going to see a lecture by the author or
Yes.
Right.
something. And so that's not the case. Somehow there's a glitch in the messaging or something, or misinterpretation. But so we are a discussion book. Uh, we did have the author one time, right, for a book or no? I don't remember, but I sometimes.
Well, Rachel arranged for Zoom present a Zoom participation by the author of the fascinating book on mussels. That is Mussels,
Right.
which
Yeah.
amazingly enough are incredible indicators of water
Yeah.
quality. They have a lot of in common with mosses and lichens in that
So we
regard.
so the thing is, it's a discussion group. It's not really like a lecture by a famous writer or anything like that.
Yeah,
You read the book or you read part of the book or you have an interest in the subject and you want to find out more, you come to it. And the reason Sue says we break up into little groups is because if we had 23 people, let's say, then the problem would be like participation. There's just so many people. But if we break into 4 groups of 6, let's say, or whatever, then everybody gets, it's not as intimidating, let's say, because some people might
yes.
be they're
Sure.
kind of absolutely not intimidated. They're ready to talk, and then other people might be intimidated and they'll never want to say anything. But in the smaller group, they could be coaxed into saying something,
Yeah, we actually found through experience that if we just made it a large group discussion, several people will dominate. I mean, that
Sure.
just happens in groups. But in these small groups, the first thing we do is introduce ourselves and just say, like a sentence about your interests or something. And everybody gets a chance to have their say. That's one of our ironclad rules. You get to have your say about this topic or this book.
And once again, folks, if you mentioned the both the upcoming meeting is going to be, what date was that?
The next meeting is January 26th, which is 1 week from tonight, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the Ollie building on the second floor. It's in a
And,
classroom on the second floor.
gotcha. And the book you will be discussing is what again?
Music as medicine.
Okay, that's right. Okay,
Uh, and yeah, so even if you don't get a chance to read it because it's not that much time, but even if you show up, okay, then you see what we're like, and then you say, this is for me, or this isn't for me, or whatever. So
that's right. Anyway, I like
And you might mention the book after that is this.
what Alan. Who would have thunk? Great,
and I
great.
think we're going to have a real owl there. I'm not
Oh,
kidding you.
no, no, I don't think she's been able to arrange
No,
that. So, no,
I
don't
heard.
spread that word.
Okay, maybe we're not. Okay,
That was her dream.
Okay, but just
okay,
I'm listening. Both the topics, seem interesting. They're fascinating. One Alan knows. Who would have thunk? Anyway, I'd like to thank both of you, my guests on this edition of the Blake's World podcast. I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti. And who knows, maybe one of these days we'll bump into each other. That'd be great, guys. Thank you.
okay.
You're
Bye
most
bye.
welcome. Bye.